Hello everyone, I'm Inchuga and you're welcome to Orange Studios. In today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to do a simple album cover art, or let's say a musical flyer, and this is how it's going to look like. Okay, so welcome back. If you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and we'll be grateful. Now, so let's begin. Considering the kind of work we are going to do, we'll definitely have to work with a canvas that is in a perfect square. So it's either going to be, let's say, a 1080p by 1080p, or let's say an 8-inch by an 8-inch, or let's say a 20 centimeter by 20 centimeter. Whichever canvas size you're comfortable working with, you are free to do so. Let's jump in. So to start a new document, it's either you go with a shortcut, which is Ctrl+N, or you go to File, click on New, and then this pops up. So now let's start with the preset details. Preset details, let's try and name this. Let's say I want to do, so let's name it Alpha Blues. So that's the name we're giving it. The width size is 8 inches. I think I'm cool with that. The height size is 8 inches. Like I mentioned, we are working with perfect squares, so whichever size you take, it should be the same for the width and height. The resolution is 300. I'm cool with that. The color mode is set to RGB. It's perfect because we are working for screen purposes. We are not going to print them out. The background color is set to white. It doesn't matter. I think it's cool anyway. So let's jump in and create a canvas. Now, the first thing we are going to do is to edit our photos. I want us to start with the photos because some would want to know how to use some tools in Photoshop. The tool we are going to use in this case is the pen tool. It's a very good tool, even though there are other options like the lasso tool and the rest, but we are going to stick with the pen tool for today so that some will learn how to use it. Let's jump in. Let's drop our picture in here. So all these resource materials will be made available in the description. Let's drop our image. So now we are going to crop out this image from the background. One thing you should always learn to do is to always start with the end in mind. So I saw this picture, I loved it, but it gave me an information on how to start the artwork. And so what am I seeing here? There are some lights here, there are some lights here. So whichever artwork I do, I want to throw light that resonates with the lighting on the image. Let's jump in. So with the pen tool selected, make sure you change the settings here from shape to path. The reason being that you want to see your cropping line, your tracing line. If you set it to shape, let's try that for you to see. If you set it to shape, immediately you click and you are closing, you are drawing a shape, so you will not be able to see anything or the details of the object you want to crop out to trace. Okay, so it is best you work with the path instead of the shape. So let's change it to path. Okay, so now that we have our path selected, let's zoom in until we can see the details as we want it. So that's how you use the pen tool. First click, let it go, click somewhere else, drag, make sure you are covering the curve as you want it to be. Do same here. Do same here. So now if you want to cut the handle, you hold on Alt and then click on the anchor point. Now that helps you start afresh. Okay, so it's a good way to use the pen tool when you're tracing. When you get to a point you want to start afresh, or start afresh as in start a new curve or a new angle, just hold on Alt, cut the handle, and it gives you the freedom to move in whichever direction you want to go. So let's continue from this side. Same thing. And this is what we are going to do throughout until we cover the whole image space. And so I'll be speeding up from here so that we will not use too much time with this tutorial. So when you get to this point, you want to bring the pen tool. You want to bring the pen tool after you've done your last click here to close it. Just bring your pen tool. You realize that it forms. There's a circle that is formed just below the pen tool. It means you are closing your selection. Click on that and your selection is closed. Now right after this, you want to go to selection. Click on selection. Feather radius. The greater the radius, the more smooth the edges. If you make it too much, the edges become too blurred and it becomes quite unpleasant. I want to stick with 0.8 and that works good for me. Now, once the selection is done, with the selection marks around the object, you want to click on Ctrl J to copy that selection out of the main selection. So for instance, if I close the background, you realize that I still have this here. That is because I copied the area of selection out of the main object. Let's go on. So you want to make sure you have done all your selections and have cut out every other part that is not supposed to be part of the image. Let's speed up this process too. So now that we have our image properly selected, we want to go to our main canvas space area. So let's drag this, click and hold, drag it to that canvas, and then there you go, it drops in. So for now, let's just turn it off. Click on the eyes icon here and it goes off. So like I mentioned, you always start your design with the end in mind. Always start your design with the end in mind. That will inform how you go about the design. So let's turn it back on again. You realize that there's some red lights coming up from this side, there are some blue lights from this side. So it informs us how to go about the design, how to go about the lighting system. We know which kind of artwork we want. We want to have it colorful, funky, minimal, and all that. So with the end in mind, you are informed on how to go about your design. Let's jump in. I want to create a shape to start forming my background. So click on the shape icon, select rectangle, click and drag. Now come over here to the thumbnail, double click to get the color picker popping out. Make sure you select full black. We are trying to create the background to our design. Now with that selected, let's take this back. So layers actually work in the form of hierarchy. The one that is above appears above it. So for instance, the image here, the picture here, because it's above the rectangular shape, appears above it. If I should take it below, it will get missing, not because it's not there, but because it's below the rectangle. So that's how the layers work. So let's drag it back up. So like I mentioned, you realize there's some red lights here there's some blue lights here, and that's what is going to inform our backgrounds as well. So now let's close this once again. Let's create a new layer here. So come here, click on add new layer, create a new layer. Let's hit on J to activate the gradient tool, or come over here and click on the gradient tool. Now let's move into the gradient tool. We want to work with something that is reddish, because from above the picture there was a red light shown. So click on this, the color comes out, click on that to select the color of your choice. Okay, so once you select the color that matches with the light that is shown on the object, you are good to go. But in my case, I already have it saved up here, so I'm just going to select it, and then I draw, Ctrl Z to undo, then I draw or drag my gradient handle to create the effect I want. Bear in mind, adjust the opacity. So let's push it to 100. Let's see what happens. Good. I think it's looking good already. I'm enjoying it. Now, hold on. The next thing is, so if you take a look, let's again drag the image above. Take a look at the picture, you realize that there's a blue light here. So we want to create a blue light shown from below, because the red light kind of shoots from here. So if I take it close, you realize that it looks like the red light's actually thrown on the image. That's the effect we want to have. So if there's a blue light around the arm, we want to create a blue light here too. So once again, let's close this layer, create a new layer. Now let's hit on J to activate our gradient tool, or again come here, click on the gradient tool, come over to the top here, click on it so that your gradient editor pops up. Once again, we are working from a color to transparent so that we can have our original background still showing, which is black. Now we can again click on the color handle here and then edit to pick our blue. So you pick the blue of your choice. I mean, you can make it a royal blue, any color, any shade of blue you want that works with the image you are working with. In my case, I've already saved up a blue gradient that works with my image. So once again, I'm going to select it, click on OK, activate it, and then click and drag to create the blue light. Now this works. Now for instance, like I mentioned, in Photoshop the layers work in hierarchy. So if I should turn the image on, you realize that the blue light is on the object. That is not what we want. We want it to be behind him. So we have to take this and push it back. Okay, so let's turn it off again. You realize that he is in a yellow shirt, so I want to kind of give it a yellow background somewhere in the middle here, not too loud, but something we can work with. So once again, we want to create a new layer. This time we want to work with the brush tool to create the yellow fill we want to have in the background. So select the brush tool, make sure your foreground color is the color you want to use. So let's just click on it and then pick the yellow you desire. I want to work with this kind of a yellow. Make sure your brush hardness is set to 0, and then increase the brush size as you desire. Okay, so I'm cool with this. Hit enter to activate. Now you realize that we already have yellow. You can increase the brush size and hit more. Let's drop our image here and see the effect we have. So if you look up here, you realize that it's kind of filling in with the shirt. That's just what we are looking for, nothing more, nothing less. Now let's once again close our image, drag this light down here. we can reduce the opacity from here. It doesn't become too loud in the design. Bear in mind to have it covering every side, else you have some sharp edges you didn't bargain for. Hit enter to commit transformation. Now, once again, this will be made available. I've already worked with, created my own background element. This one has some color gradient in it, but I want you to see how it's done. So I'll come again, pick it, drop it in Photoshop. Okay, so I'll drop it, maybe hit enter to activate it. Now you want to double click on this side of the layer to have the layer style menu popping up. Now you want to go to gradient overlay. You want to lay a gradient over the layer. So let's hit on this to activate it. Now let's click on it to have control. Come here to have option. So this is what we are going to do. We want to make sure we give it a nice gradient that matches with the background. So like we had yellow here, we have some purplish hot pink here, we have blue here, some reddish color here. Let me see, reddish color here. So you want to do something. I've already set this here. So to do that, you can just pick any two color gradient of your choice. Then you can adjust the colors as you want. So we can go for something purplish here. Then the second color, which is green, hit green, come here, change it, and then pick the yellow you want to use. And there you have it. So it's this simple. It's just that I've already picked an exact color gradient I want. So I've already saved it up here. To save it, just come, hit on new, and it's saved. So let's take this, which is not too different from this. Okay. Now, we want to just give the image an effect. The background, want to make it look some way. So we just add this. You can choose not to add it, but I just chose to add it. So to transform, just drag your mouse over any corner, click, and then press on Alt to have a uniform transform. You can now drag it down here, maybe just to center it. Okay, so our background is almost done. In fact, it's actually done. So with this done, we can drop in our picture, hit Ctrl T to activate transform. Click on any of the anchor points in the corners, hit on Alt to have a uniform transform. Now you can drag your image down here, and we are almost done. Okay, so now let's add our text. Like the file name is Alpha Blues, so let's just type in the text. I'll be using Big Noodle titling. The link will be in the description. You want to place your text below the image so that it gives it this overlay effect. Select these two layers, hit Ctrl T to hit transform, and then transform it so that it doesn't cover too much of the space. Let's try to edit the text so that every one of the text shows clearly. I just added this element because I'm thinking of musical waves. So music waves around the image, and it's blues, so it's calm, it's cool and collected. So we said it was alpha blues. Let's type in the alpha. With the alpha, we are going to use the font name Restain. Font color, I'm going to choose white. You can choose any font color of your choice. Okay, so at this point it looks good already, but the image looks flat on the text. Let's give it some drop down shadow. To do that, double click on this side so that your layer style will pop out. Click or check on the drop down shadow, click on it, increase the size to the size that pleases your work or satisfy your work. You can manipulate the angles. Okay, so let's say this works for me. You can adjust the opacity as you want. That's 5 is okay for me. Now, to do more, you can create a new layer just above this. Group your. So remember, whatever you do, put them in groups. So I'm going to group my background. Remember, it's very important. It's the things you do from the beginning. Don't wait till you get to this point before you do them. Do them right from the start. It's the best practice. You don't wait till you get to this point before you group. You put things into group. As you go on, as you do them, you group them. So now my first group is going to be the background. So I name it BCK for background. You can choose to change the eye color. Right click so that you can now come over to the eye. Right click, it gives you options. So I choose red so that I can easily identify where my backgrounds are. Let me group my blues. Put them in group again. You name it blues. Again, right click, give it orange so it's different from the other one. Now this layer is what we are going to call. So to change the name of the layer, double click. We're going to call it shadow, so that we add more shadow to the text. Hit the brush tool, select the brush tool, change the foreground color to black, reduce the brush size. This should be okay. Okay, so once it's okay, hit on enter to activate it. So you can gently brush over, brush over, brush over. Okay, so with this then we can change the opacity, reduce it so that it doesn't look too big. You can go to filter, get to blur, select Gaussian blur so that you can give it a more smooth edge, not too strong. Make it float more. Now press on Alt and take your mouse just between the blues and the shadow so that you can apply clip marks. Let's brighten up the image a little. Go to filter, hit on camera raw. You can adjust that by just adding a little more exposure and a little more brightness or highlights to it. Hit on OK, and this looks much better. Now take your L, it looks too far away from the object. Bring it down a little. Okay, so I think now we are good to go. It's okay. We just have to add a little more information like the music label, the explicit content label we normally see on album cover art, and then we are done. Okay, so let's drag them and drop them in there. So like again, all this stuff will be made available for us in the description. So I did this simple logo for the music label. I called it Do Music. Now let's drop the explicit content. I did something different. I chose to go with keep calm parents, explicit content. So just to move away from the normal parental advisory and all that. Again, let's drop that here. Don't worry, we are going to arrange all of that. Okay, so they are good, just that their colors don't blend with the background, or they are not visible. So let's try and give them a different color. To do that, double click on the item you want to change color. Layer style pops up. Then we want to add color, so color overlay. Now once it's clicked, click on the color overlay and then come here, change the color to suit the color you want. You can even pick the colors right from the design. Yeah, but let's just go with white. I think white will be okay. Now this layer style can be copied onto this layer style, and it's simple. It's just by, and that's all. Maybe you didn't see. Let's do it again. So just come over here, press on Alt, and then drag over to the layer you want to have the effect on, and there you go. It's that simple. Or Ctrl Z to undo. Right click on the effects side. There's a copy layer option. Now come over to the logo, right click on the logo, and then you find the paste option. So it's either ways. Okay, so let's just try and align this. Okay, so we are done here. Let's just add a little more text below the main text. Let's say the release date, which is 10 2020. Let's change the font style to, let's say, let's go big noodle again. Okay, so we'll end here, and we'll encourage you to suggest in the comment section what do you think we can add to it to make it better. What do you think we should do? What do you suggest can be added to it? Do you like? Okay, so we'll leave it here. We'll leave it here, and we encourage you to suggest in the comment section what do you think can be added to it to make it doper. But I think I love this. I'm loving it already. I love the colors. I love the lighting effect and all that. One last thing is that if you have paid attention to the hair, it's too sharp for my liking. So there's just a simple hack we can do. Just apply layer mask by clicking on this. What the layer mask helps you do is to erase some parts of the image, or yes, some part. The layer mask helps you erase some part of the image temporarily. so that you can always adjust if you want to, or undo what you do. So let's go with let's choose a brush, select the brush tool. Let's come down here for options. We can go with either of any of this. Let's go with this. Now what we want to do is to brush around the edges, so that it gives us some kind of the natural feel of hair. I mean afro hair. You want to be careful not to overdo it. You can do same thing down here. There's something small. So if you had paid attention, if we disable this versus when we enable it, you realize that it blends with the natural hair. It makes it better that way. Okay, so we are done. This is the end of the tutorial. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember to hit the subscribe button if you are new here, and share with others to enjoy. Thank you and have a good day.